All right, go ahead and raise your hands, and I will get you the mic.
Hey, John, it has been a while since we've seen a pitcher throw 9 whole innings. What did Chris Bassett do today to make that happen?
Kept them, first of all, it's a really good lineup. And I think keeping them off balance, his stuff was really good from the start, maintained it throughout. And, you trust dudes like that to go out and finish the job. But I think just the location with everything, the movement on his sinker, sweeper, everything was just really on point.
And you had a quick conversation with him in the 8th. I'm not sure if you talked to him or stayed away from him in between, but those conversations, what went into them and how did that change things?
I think with the way he was throwing, he deserved a chance to stay out there. I think that, numbers are such a big part of today's game, and, you're always weighing that, and you're, taking into account the person too. So went out there, said, how you doing? He said, perfect. I said, all right, what's your plan? He said, sinker away. I said, go get him. So, he's the type of dude that, you immediately trust him because of the prep that he does. And I think just by watching how he was executing, it made it pretty easy.
John, this is consecutive starts now for Chris that he's come in and really locked down a game for you guys after a bad stretch. Just that ability to come up in these kind of moments, what does that do for your club?
Yeah, it's huge. I think losing 2 in a row isn't a bad stretch, though. But he did it when we were really grinding in Pittsburgh, it was Pittsburgh, and it's one of the reasons why we brought him here. I think the way he competes and the way that he kind of answers the bell, you don't really worry about pitch count with him, and I think that the competitor in him kind of just takes over.
And if you're watching, a great pitcher's duel, but obviously a pretty big contrast in styles between Strider and him. What is it about his repertoire you think allows him to compete in a league where velocity is king a lot of the time? Yeah,
he's great at reading hitters' swings. His prep, I think has really gotten pretty tight with him and Pete. And, their hitting is tough, and I think that you see a lot of similar pitchers in the league these days where everything is hard and Strider's really, really good. And I think that it's tough for hitters to kind of navigate through the difference in velocity and the movement on every pitch.
Scheid kind of mentioned it there. How fortunate do you feel to scratch across a couple against Strider with how filthy he looks?
Yeah, he's good. He strikes out a bunch for a reason. His stuff is pretty electric. Huge at bat from George, and that was great for him to kind of break through there. And then I don't mind the KK play, trying to score there against a dude like that. I know Bo's coming up, but against a guy like that, sometimes you got to push the envelope a little bit. But yeah, it's nice to, kind of have those guys go head to head, and, a couple really good at bats from us late. Uh-oh.
I forgot. I'm going to give it to Caitlin, and then I'll come back.
Okay.
We were talking before the game about the fun challenge that this stretch is going to be. What does it mean to start out with a game like this with not just Bassett, but you took opportunities to score and then also played really sharp defensively?
Yeah, it's a great way to start the homestand in a series against a really good team. Chappie's double play, KK's catch, Bo's catch, kind of just, Kirky throwing the runner out at third when it got a little dicey there with nobody out, but that's the way you have to play against good teams, and we're totally capable of doing it, and it was really good to see that in the first game here.
That inning where it did get a little bit dicey, he had been sailing, and then you have 2 hit batsmen and a walk. What got him out of his rhythm there, and how did he get it back in?
I'm not quite sure. You got to probably ask him. I think probably a little bit, like he always says, too much thinking, maybe. We had Travis d'Arnaud there, 2 strikes, and kind of, sinker got away from him, but it's a pretty unique ability for him to, kind of just stay in the moment.
And further to a lot of thinking, he's calling his own games now, and we saw whatever pitch-com issues early on. But it's a new thing, obviously, for him to be calling his own games. You talked about his plan before, but how is he sort of sinking into that? And obviously it was great tonight, but what's that like for a pitcher to have to do?
Yeah, it's tough. It's the first time we're kind of all seeing it, even though a pitcher usually calls his own game. It's just different with him actually pushing a button. But I think we're kind of at the point where, you know, we understand him and he understands kind of our process and our game plan. And it's kind of, you know, hitting that sweet spot, I think, of, you know, using his strengths, but at the same time still attacking, you know, some tendencies on hitters.
Hey, John, how would you describe Bassett's personality as it pertains to the calmness that it seems on the outside, but the intensity that's obviously there?
Yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. You know, it's he's always thinking. He's, you know, his conversations in between innings with Pete and myself are pretty good. You know, and I think that he said it. Sometimes that kind of gets in the way, but I think tonight, you know, that's the best version of Chris Bassett. You know, it's really unique to have a guy, you know, adjust on the fly, you know, in game. You know, just the way he manipulates the ball. It's really cool to watch him. You know, competing is a big part of the game, and we knew that when we signed him. And I think it was just really evident tonight that he didn't want to back down from any challenge.
Hey, John, that was the first complete game shutout for this team in 8 years. What makes that such a rare accomplishment these days?
You know, there's a lot that, I mean, I think bullpen arms are really good around the league for one. And, you know, there's a lot of numbers that probably show where, you know, as a pitcher continues to throw and get fatigued, that stuff may tick down a little bit. There's so much that goes into it. But it's, you know, you got to kind of use your gut a little bit too and kind of watch what's happening and understand who you have on the mound too. So a lot of it is, you know, understanding the person, you know, and then watching what they're doing and saying, okay, is there a better version of a pitcher in the bullpen? A lot of times it's yes, and tonight it wasn't.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you, guys.